All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro rolling out hour number 2. Chris Wynn, in studio guest today as well. And, we always want to talk about race relations, issues involving race. And there's no better person to have in studio with us than Minister Stretch Sanders, who joins us every week. Stretch, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Bless you guys. Power to the people, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Honored to be here again.
We love having you in studio. And by the way, a reminder to the listeners out there, if you want to watch our live stream right now, it's going on the Vegas Take page on YouTube. So a lot of stories to get to, Stretch, always, every week in a short period of time. I want to start with this. There is a Las Vegas rally that is going to be held basically for minorities that are killed by police officers. In the Review Journal, it was labeled as Justice for Black People Rally, and it is Sunday, I believe.
We held it yesterday.
Yeah.
We held it yesterday.
Oh, it already happened.
Already
Okay.
happened.
So talk to me about this. Talk to me about this rally, why you guys decided to put this thing together, and do you truly believe that this is a huge issue, that minorities, African Americans, are being gunned down by police officers, and these are innocent people that are being gunned down?
Okay, so Tamika Mallory and others who oversee the National Women's March, they have a chapter in Las Vegas that's held by Marcy Wells. So they put a call out to rally for justice for Tatiana, who was shot in her home when an officer didn't announce himself. So every city nationally wanted to do a day of outrage. Yesterday was the day when it was held in front of the Justice Department downtown. And so the Review Journal was there, and they did name it a Day of Justice for Black People, something like that. But it was a success. I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't.
So this was in honor of this woman. That makes.
It was in honor of her, and then also we invited the family of Byron Williams to kind of shed some light, because we was going to do an action separately to bring justice, because the officers still haven't been charged in his case. So we just said, let's just kill two birds with one stone and just bring it together. And so Byron Williams' family was present as well.
Gotcha. And make no mistake about it, that woman who was shot through her window was an innocent woman. It is an awful tragedy, and I really hope that justice is served to that police officer who pulled the trigger, because clearly he wasn't following proper protocol. There's no question.
And that's why we do those actions. If we don't get active, anybody can say, "Oh, I'm upset, I'm angry," but nobody takes that serious.
Sure.
Like I said, when we got in the street and stopped traffic, the officer who killed Tashi Brown Farmer was arrested 2 days later. So I'm a firm believer in the Dr. King direct action approach. Voting is cool, boycotting is cool, but picket lines and actually civil disobedience, getting in the street, stopping business as usual, that's what's going to change some things. It was disappointing yesterday that we only had 15 people. You can clearly see it from the picture on the newspaper. But I understand that. So I'm not upset, but I am disappointed. And I'm urging that Las Vegas get involved. I don't care if you're black, brown, white, red, yellow. If a black person is getting killed unjustly, if you are white, red, or brown, or yellow, you are responsible.
And I would I would counter that by also saying, if anybody is killed unjustly, whether you're a minority or not, yes, I do think people need to be involved and speak out. And I can tell you right now, Stretch, if anybody is killed unjustly by a police officer, we're going to talk about it on this show, and we want to hold people accountable. I do believe that the majority of police officers are good people, that are not racist people, that are not out to get minorities. But and I know you might disagree with me on that one. But anyway, I want to ask you about another issue involving a campus where I grew up on. It's the UConn campus. A couple of students at UConn were videotaped using the N-word. This was an off-campus party. And now the NAACP chapter is calling on the UConn administration to apply the proper justice. Now, I don't know what exactly they want, but here's my feeling on that. And you know this, Stretch, because we've talked about this. I don't think the N-word should ever be used under any circumstance by anybody, including African Americans. However, should a school get involved on an off-campus party when someone's using the N-word, which I don't condone, but do you think a student should be expelled or suspended for using the N-word at an off-campus party? What are your thoughts on that? Because the NAACP seems to think that should happen.
Well, because that word was given to us by the European American demographic, it's totally different when white people use the word and black people use the word. We have to understand that. Now, granted, nobody should use the word, but the word with ER and the word with GA, it means two different things in the black community. In our community, the GA is a term of endearment. Should it be? Of course not. But the reality is it is. Also, that word's a condition, right? That's a mindset. That's a mentality that people don't see past that. I used to use the word all the time. And with that word comes a behavior. It comes traits with that word. I've been gracious enough to rise out of that condition. Many of us have not. As far as the ER, it's totally different. That word is the word that our ancestors heard when they were being lynched, when they were being slapped, when they were being whipped. So it means a total different meaning. And because a lot of the white family are naive and ignorant to racism, they don't understand. And so they hear us using it and they think it's the same thing. It's two total different meanings.
And I understand where you're going with this. Let me give you a little more details on this story. So these two white students were arrested and charged. The ACLU wants those charges dropped. Now, they didn't say it to anyone, and that doesn't mean what they said was right. I'm not condoning using of the word. But it's not like they, said that towards a minority, an African American. They shouted it out. It happened to be caught on camera. Here's my opinion on this. Here's where I'm going with this. If you use that word and somebody records you using the word, if you lose your job, don't have a problem with that. You're a moron. You shouldn't be using the word to begin with. If you're shamed on social media, you probably deserve it. You shouldn't use the word. But I am not okay with the law saying we're going to charge you and arrest you for using the N-word. I think that is absolutely ridiculous. We still do have freedom of speech. Now, with that freedom of speech, you can still lose your job. You can still be humiliated. I don't have a problem with that. But the law should not say if I call, which I never would, but if I call somebody the N-word, I should be arrested and charged. I think that is absurd.
And we know with the whole freedom of speech thing, that's based on scenario. That's based on situation because truth be told, there ain't no freedom of speech. Because at the end of the day, there's freedom of speech, but there's more freedom of that speech if you're white. There's less freedom of that speech if you're black, brown, or a person of color.
But Stretch, you think you should go to prison for using the N-word? Because they could do, but Stretch, they could do prison time.
I think it should be a learning moment. I think it should be a teaching moment where they should get consequences, no doubt. Even the person who may use it on the job. It depends on how they used it. Was it in conversation? Was it a derogatory term?
Let's say that someone calls you that word on the street. You catch them on video. They happen to have a couple of kids. They have a good job. Do you want them to lose their livelihood for offending you? Do you think that they should lose their livelihood and they should lose their job? Or would you rather have them? Because when someone says that to you, you're right. Ignorance is a huge part. They have no idea what that word actually, how that word deeply affects you. Or would you want them to actually learn why that word affects you and take 3 to 6 hours out of their day for a full training course or something along those lines, something educational, as opposed to actually taking their livelihood from them?
Well, I agree. I think that if it's done on a college campus, it's a little different then because most likely they're young. It's still room for maturity. If you're like super duper grown in your 40s and you're at your job and using that slur, then yeah, you should be fired because at that point you understand right from wrong. You understand something called appropriation and appropriate times. I mean, you should never use that word, but you definitely know it's inappropriate to use that at the workplace. Now, if you're on the street, things are a little different, right? But you may get that black person who ain't no minister, so you may not get fired, but
Stretch,
you may get something else.
You might get assaulted.
Let me explain to you what they were charged with. Okay, there's a law on the books, and it's been on the books dating back decades. Charged with ridicule on account of creed, religion, color, denomination, nationality, or race. And I want to take some phone calls on this too, because Stretch believes, and I agree with him, that you should probably lose your job if the context is in that manner where you call somebody the N-word. However, in this specific case, I think we both can agree, if you use the N-word, not only that, it wasn't not directed towards anybody, and I'm not defending them, but I don't think they should go to jail. I don't think they should be arrested. Let me give out the phone number so people out there can be a part of this conversation. 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation with Minister Stretch, 702-257-5396.
I would make an argument that the ship has already sailed on this, guys. And look, there's a difference between losing your job and being thrown in jail, obviously, right? There's two different things. As far as losing their job, people already have lost their jobs because of stuff that's gone on social media. Things they've said, things they've done on social media because they have a tie to some employer, right? And the employee has that decision. And JD, you bring this up a lot. A lot of it is up to the employer, right? As far as whether or not you keep your livelihood or keep your job. So, I mean, these are two different distinctions I think we need to make when we're talking about, something being said that could lead to prison time for you or being thrown in jail as opposed to something you could lose your job over.
And I also believe that too, like, okay, for example, the brother who vandalized the church, right? That's a little more bigger than a word because now you physically did something.
Good point.
So in that case, yeah, jail time should be given. So it depends on the situation.
The fact that these two kids are trying to get charged with crimes, to me, it sets a terrible precedent. Basically, that means that if you offend someone, it's a crime. That's the precedent moving forward, and that could be a really bad thing.
Well,
for the United
I
States
don't
of
think
America.
unless you threaten somebody, I don't think your word should be used as a crime against you to go to jail. I think we all can agree if you threaten somebody's life, there are certain things you
Right.
can say.
Calling someone a racial slur and saying I'm going to
However-
murder your family are two totally different
However,
things.
I do believe if you call somebody a racial slur, I do think there are things you can do that can lose your job for that. I think going to jail is a different set of guidelines that
Yeah,
I
it
do not
depends.
agree with.
Yeah, I think that it's substantial. I think it depends on the situation.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean they shouldn't get consequences.
Sure.
You know, should they get probably expelled? Absolutely, right?
So you think, okay, so hold on, this is interesting. And by the way, the number to call, 257-5396, 702-257-5396, Minister Stretch Sanders in studio. Okay, so this is interesting. I don't know if I agree with you on this or not. I'd have to think about it. But you're telling me that you have two students that are intoxicated. Again, not an excuse. I'm not defending them. I'm not saying what they did was right. But you're saying two students at an off-campus party, not calling someone the N-word, but using the N-word, should be expelled from school. That is to me, that is a very harsh punishment.
Well, it's just a matter of I'm just trying to be optimistic in the terms of people to understand there's ways to get around it than just jail time.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be expulsion. It could be suspension, but
Right.
consequences be held. Because at the end of the day, what they always say, a drunk man words, sober man thoughts. So
No,
yeah, so then
I
the
understand.
point is that you're saying that, you believe what you said,
Yep.
we have to hold you accountable. If we don't hold you accountable, then
Mm-hmm.
just like when Donald Trump got in office, he gave some people who already was thinking this
Mm-hmm.
the courage to not only think it with them, but to say it.
But why not suspend them for a week or two? They obviously are going through public shaming right now. Obviously, there's probably not a lot of people that want to talk to them. I think an expulsion is an extreme.
Suspension would be fair.
Yeah.
Suspension would be,
Okay, so
just
you're
as
okay
long-
with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
It has to be a consequence, though. It can't
That's a
be
consequence.
It can't. Absolutely. It
Sure.
just can't be a. Oh well, y'all was drunk. We're gonna let you go because at that point it looks like okay. Now, if there was a black person that used the racial slur, would they be reprimanded? Would they be? So we have to be.
I don't
fair.
think they would. I don't think they would. You're telling me if you think two African Americans on an off-campus party use the N-word?
No, I'm not talking about racial slur.
Okay.
Understand? The N-word is not a racial slur to the black community. You have to understand.
Which I don't agree with.
It's not.
Which I don't agree with.
You know, you don't have to agree.
I happen to be white, but I don't agree with that. if African Americans do not want anybody to use the word, it is my personal opinion that they should not use it themselves. Now, yes, I'm white. Yes, I understand. I don't go through the things that, for example, you have to go through on a daily basis. I understand that. But with that being said, I don't think young kids should hear that word and then they'll think it's okay to use the word. I completely disagree with ever being used.
But let me let you know this. I agree that nobody should use the word. Like
Mm-hmm.
I told you, I believe black people are powerful, we're great, we're gods. We shouldn't use language like that. But you have to understand why we use the language. So a demographic that gave us the word can tell us not to use it no more. It don't work
Right.
like that. We got that word from white people. Not you. But we heard that word.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to take a negative, make it a positive. Do I agree that if you take poison and put it in a bottle, it's still poison? Or put it in
Right.
glass
Of
or
course.
crystal, still poison? But you have to understand we don't view it like that. But it's up to black people, those who are enlightened and educated,
Mm-hmm.
to teach about that. We get offended when there's so much opinion from the white community saying don't
And I-
use it because it's almost kind of
and I understand where you're
you
coming
don't set
from.
the standard
Yeah,
of language
sure.
in the
And
community.
It's not their place.
Let me
It's
take
not our place.
Let's take a few quick phone calls on this. And again, the number to call is 257-5396. In studio with us is Minister Stretch Sanders. We're talking about race relations. We're talking about these issues. If two kids off campus use the N-word, should they be expelled? In this case, they were arrested and charged with a crime. Again, the number to call 257-5396. Why don't we start off with Wayne? Wayne, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, Wayne? What do you think about all this?
What's up, Wayne?
Absolutely. You're right. You are right.
All right, Wayne, let's let Stretch respond to that. And I agree with you, Wayne, by the way. I think we're on the same page there. Go ahead,
Wayne's
Stretch.
right. It's a term of endearment until we get upset. And then it's F that in. Absolutely. But I think because the word is typically majority used as a term of endearment, we have to be careful with, you can't just say, okay, I'm gonna say, like, okay, for example, in a lot of schools you can't use the N-word with a GA, but the punishment is definitely gonna look different if it's an ER. We may not understand that, but that's just the way it has to be because when that word with the ER, typically it comes with swastikas or it comes with a Klan uncle. It's a movement behind that, right? When we use the F that GA, it's typically, it doesn't go any further than that.
How often do you think when the word with the ER comes out that it is predicated on hate and not on ignorance?
I think that I've heard, I'll be honest with you, I've heard when I was in high school, white students use the GA, right? And I would tell them, look, I don't know how y'all get down in Vegas, but I'm from Chicago, that ain't how we do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't just like take off on them. I backed up and I saw that black students let them get a pass. You know, like, this is the cool white boy. Okay, I don't get it, something different. So you can use wisdom to know when it's a time to teach, when it's a time to get upset. But I think that sometimes, depending on the situation, and these gentlemen being drunk, they probably could be cool guys, probably didn't mean no harm. But we have to question, why was they so comfortable to say it when they're drunk? Like I said, what you are when you're sober will come out when you're drunk.
Yeah.
So we have to still question that. So in that case, can we say they meant what they said? So that's what I'm saying. Like, we can't just give them, oh, okay, we're going to give them a pass, some type of consequence. But we can't view we just cannot view the way the white families use it in the same context as the black families.
Absolutely, and I certainly would not disagree with you when it comes to that. 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Gary. Gary, you're next on the Vegas Take. You're on with Minister Stretch. Go ahead, Gary.
Hey,
Good morning.
I have my own opinion, and not your opinion, but I think the N-word should be constantly everywhere. In fact, I think that Minister Stretch should get on a public bus and go to Vegas. It's like throwing the gun in the field next to you. They're already using the N-word this, N-word that, all over the bus, and that's okay? No, that's not okay. I'm white, and I've been told that by, what do you call it, some black guys. They don't know.
So you're saying the N-word should never be used ever? Is that what you're saying?
But
why would you want that word used? Why? Okay, all right, Gary. Let's Stretch respond to that. That's a ridiculous opinion. Go ahead, Stretch.
Well, and what's his name?
Gary.
Gary. Well, Gary, thank you for your thoughts. Wow, I mean, I've never heard that perspective, Gary. So many times, Gary, I'm lost for words.
use it more, right?
So Gary
That's a
said
perspective
that we should all use the word. Should be a double standard. N-word should, whether it's ERGA, it should just be used as a cool thing.
No.
Gary, I think that's not the way we should progress as a nation. I think that end of the day, nobody's saying that the word should be. We're all saying the same thing, that the white family shouldn't use it. They believe the black family shouldn't use it. I agree. My perspective is just, I'm letting you all know why we use it and the intent behind it. But that doesn't mean, if I had it my way, I would take the whole word.
Sure.
Because GAER doesn't matter.
Like for example, there was a comedy special by Dave Chappelle recently on Netflix, and I watched it, and that word was used 50, 60 times. And all races are watching that comedy special. And if you're an 8, 9-year-old kid watching that, you think it's okay.
Sure.
Of course.
If he's using it.
And that's to Stretch's point that he just made, that there is young white people that use that word and throw the A on the end of it. Hey, I'm not a parent, but I'm also an uncle, and I have a lot of Puerto Rican as well as Mexican relatives, and they use it as well too. The young people. I'm talking about the younger people, the millennials. So I mean, there is some credence a little bit to what Gary was saying as far as that goes, but all the other stuff is a little bit.
Let's
nonsense.
just be honest.
Yeah.
Black people set the tone in America for cool culture. We always have.
It's true.
We've always had. We are the coolest race on the planet. We dress good. We talk good. So every race is influenced by that.
Sometimes you dress good.
Yes.
Sometimes I disapprove.
Of course.
When the pants are down to the ankles and I have to see somebody's ass, I wouldn't say that's dressing good. That's just my opinion.
That's something different. I agree. But for the most part, we've always set the culture and the tone of coolness. So unfortunately, we have made other people think it's cool. And I think that at the end of the day, we have to hold ourselves accountable as well. And that's my argument with some of my black counterparts, is that we use it and they say, and I agree, we can say it, but you can't. But at the end of the day, you should let it go too. Yeah. And that's where me and a lot of my family disagrees, because they feel like, well, hey, I'm going to keep saying it, they shouldn't say it, but we set the tone for this cool culture.
When you say cool culture, you mean like swag? Like
just that swag, and you know how the comedians use it, and how black comedians tell jokes opposed to other comedians.
Not the way Kramer used it from Seinfeld. Not the way he used it, but anyway.
And I think because it's so high saturated. It's just. Yeah. But like I said, if I had it my way, I would take that GA word, because at the end of the day, you just can't take some things and make it a positive.
I think
It's
it
a
does, I
wrap.
think it does more bad than good.
I agree. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Okay, we're up against a break here, and we're going to take some callers when we come back. But here's what I want to discuss, and this is going to be opening up a whole can of worms. Okay, Donald Trump yesterday compared Afghanistan, saying that Afghanistan is safer than Chicago. Now, we know there's a lot of crime in Chicago. We know there's a lot of black-on-black crime in Chicago. Even though that the crime rates have gone down over the last 4 years, it is still a serious problem. But is it fair? I'll pose this question to you, and I want to get your answer when we come back. Do you think it's fair for the President of the United States, he's also the president for Chicago as well, to say that Afghanistan, an area that has harbored terrorists for years, where else the Bin Laden family grew up, is a safer place to live as an American than Chicago? I want to get your take on that when we come back, and we'll take your phone calls. We have some people on hold. We'll get to you when we come back. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Take a break. Be back right after this.